I'm just going to give a very brief overview of the Assembly. First of all, thank you for taking the time to be here. I've been myself on the other side of the microphone, so I'm aware of what it entails. As Sophie just introduced me, I'm the Director of Communications of the World Tourism Organization. During this week, I'll be conducting also as Executive Secretary all the official meetings, the governing body meetings. It's a very busy week. And just a bit of context that you understand the relevance of this top governing body meeting that we have. The General Assembly is held every 2 years. The last assembly was in Spain, in Madrid, which is where UNWTO is based. Our headquarters are in Madrid. And the assembly in Madrid voted for Uzbekistan as host of this year's assembly. The assembly gathers all our member states. We will have 160 member states after this assembly is over. We're adding a new member state. Belize is expected to join. The approval will be ratified here. The assembly in Uzbekistan is one of the most successful in terms of attendance. So we have more than 140 country delegations attending the assembly. We will have a final count of ministers or equivalent levels at the end of the assembly. You've seen the program, a lot of commissions and meetings, a lot of stuff going on. The main meetings are, on the one hand, the governing body meetings. So we have an executive council tomorrow afternoon. Executive Council is sort of a board of directors. The Executive Council paves the way to the General Assembly, recommends, pre-approves, and then the General Assembly is sort of a shareholder meeting. All our membership is there. One country, one voice. It's a level playing field. Everybody gets a chance to speak, to debate, and then the decisions are approved really by consensus, or should there be the need for voting, also by voting. And then we conclude 2 days after, Thursday evening, with the approval of all the decisions put to the debate of the members, and also with the decision on who's going to be the host for the next General Assembly in 2 years. Now, we have two thematic pillars during the Assembly, two thematic fora. One is on investment, which is tomorrow. It's open to everybody, the whole morning. And one is on education, the day after tomorrow, on Thursday. No, what day is today? Monday. I get lost. Thursday morning as well on education. And these are two of the pillars that have been really fostered by the Secretary General. There have been two new areas of work of the organization, investment and tourism. Those of you who followed the news, we had recently a World Tourism Day, which is our day on the calendar, precisely on tourism and green investment that we held in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on the 27th of September. And education is also a very strong pillar that we've been pushing ahead. And as was announced also today by the President of Uzbekistan, who honored us really with opening this week of General Assembly meetings, there's going to be also an academy here in Uzbekistan in collaboration with UNWTO, because as our Secretary General Zura Pololikashvili says, true sustainability starts really with education and giving the people the right skills to embrace this sector. So this is really, in a nutshell, what it is, a whole week of meetings. We'll have around 1,500 delegates from all over the world, more than 140 countries represented, public sector, government, private sector partners, two thematic pillars, investment on the one hand, education on the other, and above it all, the General Assembly making the decisions really to what this organization looks like. One sneak preview, we're in a huge process of rebranding the organization and presenting a new short name. This has already been approved, etc., but now we're going to celebrate it. Likely, if everything runs well, inshallah, on Wednesday, on the 18th in the afternoon, we can announce, and we will hopefully be in a position to roll out the new name of the organization and the new branding visual identity and how we really tell the tourism story. Tourism, as you know, always at the crest of the wave of innovation in terms of business models, in terms of how we relate to each other, social interaction. Regulation follows that. So it's a disruptive sector. It's a cross-cutting sector. It has the deepest social footprint. It has the broadest economic value chain. And so how the organization tasked with that in the UN, because we are a UN agency, we're the voice of tourism at the UN level, couldn't really lag behind. So we've gone through this massive looking inside process to change how we present ourselves outside to the world. If there are any questions, just fire away. We have a few minutes. Just let me know whom I'm talking to, and then I'm happy to reply if I can. Thank you. Yes. Okay. I'll repeat the question for the mics here. I know who it is. We don't have a splitter, but so that people know what I'm replying to. Yeah.
Yes, it's okay. My name is Fatma Badawi.
Fatma.
Yes. I'm a journalist from Egypt.
Yes.
And my question is about you, sir. How do you support the tourism now, after crisis between Russia and Ukraine in the world, but in Middle East especially, after crisis between Gaza and Israel? How do you support tourism now in the world and the Middle East?
Okay. Thank you. So Khalid Fahda from Egypt asked about the role of the World Tourism Organization in the face of challenges. And challenges in the context, of course, we're having at the moment armed conflicts in several parts of the world, not only the ones that you mentioned. It's about, and this is why it's so important that tourism is part of really the bigger platform of the UN. It is where people come together to advance this. Of course, these conflicts are far from over. Specifically regarding the Russian invasion in Ukraine, our members decided. UNWTO is a member-based organization, so our members decide. And immediately after the invasion, there was an extraordinary, the first ever General Assembly held in Madrid, and members voted to suspend the Russian Federation from membership. So the Russian Federation is no longer a member of UNWTO by decision of its members, and the Russian Federation also decided to step out of the organization. Tourism thrives best in a context of stability, of legal stability, of infrastructure, of development stability, of education. That way education is so important, and of course of peace. And this is going to be the theme of World Tourism Day next year, which is going to be celebrated, and this is something that we're going to confirm here at this General Assembly, at the plenary, in the country of Georgia. It's going to be the host of the official celebration next year. We don't know if in Tbilisi, but definitely in Georgia. The theme will be around, of course, tourism and peace, tourism and cultural understanding. We need to raise the awareness of that. Why? Because tourism is, and we saw this in the pandemic, tourism's relevance became evident in the pandemic because of its absence. This is when everybody realized, oh, so there's so much more to tourism than meets the eye, right? Speaking of the typical Egyptian analogy is the tip of the pyramid, but you only see tourism at the top, right? So everything that makes tourism happen is so much more. It's investment, it's infrastructure, it's communication, it's legal security, it's energy management, it's education, and so on. So this needs to be highlighted. Of course, tourism is a huge barometer for anything that can go wrong or generates insecurity. So conflicts of any sort, man-made or natural challenges, are not good for business in general, not good for understanding, and not good for tourism. So what the World Tourism Organization, to round out, does is A, in line with the United Nations overall policies. B, it's not a mandate to comment, not to interfere on domestic policy, on politics, but we know it is a platform for understanding. And at times, tourism is the only environment where different politicals, you look at domestic policy, for instance, the connecting thread between changing governments or even political directions is always tourism. So here lies the strength. Thank you.
This is Dr. Mona Shukr from Egypt also.
Also from Egypt.
Yes. From Empire News channel. You talked about the public awareness.
Yes.
This is very important. Do you think that also we need governmental awareness? Because sometimes we have some countries that have all the possibility to raise tourism, and they actually don't depend on this sector for its
Thank you.
economic.
Yes.
Yes. And it's very important for sustainable development.
So another Egyptian colleague asked about the need for governmental awareness. Can I ask the colleagues in the back, we don't have a microphone, just to keep it down, so the colleagues, okay, thank you. Well, we saw the example just a few hours ago here, right here across the corridor. Having the tourism being embraced from the top of the government, that sends the signal. So tourism is not a footnote at the end. Tourism is not, you know, the filler in the newspaper. Yeah. Tourism is cross-cutting. I referred before to how we're coming back from the pandemic, and the numbers are good. We are almost at pre-pandemic international tourism figures, probably by the end of the year. These are the figures that the World Tourism Organization recently released. But the key to make it sustainable, as everybody's talking about, is really the recognition at the highest political level. Why? Because tourism is, again, much more than just meets the eye. Tourism is the end product, but you cannot have proper tourism and really having it contributing to national economies, to development, to international visibility, if it's not backed up by political decision makers at the highest level. Okay, this is key. Are there any other questions? Because I don't like to engage. I would love to, but let's level the playing field. Thank you.
Tony Kruger, Dario News, Uzbekistan.
Okay.
I would like to ask, what are your takeaways from President Naziriyev's opening address?
Takeaways are we're gonna hire the president's speechwriter, and having him as a speaker. I think it was outstanding. I think it was a really good coincidence, and this was not scripted, trust me, in terms of really the alignment of what we see. What is particularly encouraging, if you work in tourism, and from our standpoint, because we're not a private company, we're not a lobby company, we don't represent private sector interests, we try to get together the public and the private sector around shared interests. So what I would underscore from his words, really how education is key, how green transition is critical, how he walks the talk in terms of education, because it's really at the grassroots where we have to start sustainability. And again, walking the talk I think is key here, and we've seen this. I mean, all this amazing place where I think it was built in like 18 months, record time, it's already functioning. Wi-Fi is not crashing. You know, energy is functioning. Services are very good and outstanding, at par with anywhere in the world. This is a clear example. And lastly, how the efforts of the public authorities also to raise the awareness of tourism as a public good. Okay, tourism can only be truly sustainable, and this is what we advocate for at the World Tourism Organization at the UN, if really the communities where tourists arrive are really the beneficiaries of it. Otherwise, not just shareholder value to some, foreign corporation in a tax haven. We don't want that.
Thank you.
No more? 3, 2, 1. I have to rush to other meetings. Okay, I'm around. If you see me and you need more, and if I have the time, happy to keep on engaging and at your disposal. Thank you very much. Thank you.